Hey, boss babes. Happy Monday night. It is Sammy Davis here, and I'm the founder of Vintage Boss Babes. And you are tuning in to the live or the replay. Let me know in the comments if you're tuning into the replay. But the live stream of tonight's Monday evening educational panel discussion here in Vintage Boss Babes with my dear friend Leslie Ware of Art to Wear. Guys, I have been planning this with her for months. You guys are truly in for a treat. She is in the green room right now, and I just want to get us started before we bring her front and center and just have a really awesome, candid conversation about what it means to be a female entrepreneur in sustainable fashion, as well as, get this, guys, four times published author. I know it still blows my mind, especially because I knew Leslie when she was writing her first book. So it feels like forever ago. So if you're tuning in, first of all, thank you. Thank you for tuning in, because I just love when you guys tune in to our live streams. I think you take a lot away from the live. So I appreciate you being here. Let me know in the comments. Actually, I'm going to go over to the comments now. Let me know in the comments that you are here. Yay. Hi, Natalie. And hello, Pashan. It is so good to see you. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you. Hi, Nicole. What's up? I love that I can see everyone's name. This is great. Sometimes StreamYard, it doesn't show your name. So I'm really happy to see everyone's name. So if you haven't said hello in the comments, please do so. The reason this is important is because it actually promotes this live to the rest of the followers on the page, because it shows that there's activity. It shows that it's relevant. And then if you are tuning into the replay, just put that hashtag replay, because again, it will promote this live to the rest of our followers. And I'm really thrilled to introduce you guys to Leslie. She's going to share more of her story, but just in a nutshell, she owns and operates 2 brick and mortar stores here in New York City in Manhattan. And I am a seller at one of them. I am privileged and honored to sell vintage and luxury resale or secondhand at her at Art to Wear, and she is growing her enterprise, and she is building a fashion brand around sustainability, around local artists, around independent artists, and just around culture and community, and bringing that back to fashion. Because here in Vintage Boss Babes, we have community, we have culture with secondhand, but the brick and mortar life, right? A lot of it's fast fashion, or it's high end designer. You know, what Leslie has created is something that you feel like you're home, you feel like you're with your people. And I'm just so excited for her to share with you guys the journey to this place. I told her she can be as real with us as she wants. She can censor herself. But a lot of you out there are building your own brands, or you might even want to open a brick and mortar store in your hometown or somewhere near you. So definitely tune in to hear Leslie's words of wisdom. So Leslie, are you ready? I see her smiling. All right, I'm going to bring Leslie on board. If you guys are tuning in, can you please let Leslie know that you are so grateful for her to be here? And there she is. Hello, Leslie.
Hi, Sammy. Hi, everybody.
How are you?
I'm good. A little tired. It's been like a crazy August, but I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, we were just at the launch party of the second location of Art to Wear. I heard you had to go learn about Apple Pay today because entrepreneurship never ends. It was supposed to be your day off.
Yeah, it doesn't stop. Hi, Passion. Nice to see you too. My cousin is here.
Yes. Passion has been an awesome member of Vintage Boss Babes.
Awesome.
Yes. So, Leslie, I'm going to share with them, just because this is going to be all about you tonight, but I want you guys to fully understand what you're about to learn. So I have some things behind the scenes. First of all, Leslie, I have an amazing photo of you at the first Art to Wear location. And this was taken the press
October. Yeah, so that was October 26th, 2021. Is that right? Yeah.
Time flies. Like, I feel like we just were together for this event. And now Leslie has a second location. What exactly is this second store, or where is it rather, Leslie?
So this is in the so it's in the World Trade Center campus,
Mm,
and it's called Westfield, the Westfield Oculus Mall. So it's like down in Lower Manhattan, where the World Trade Center site, where the World Trade Center was,
right.
and now they've built these kind of like new buildings, and there's this really cool looking building. I think it's like my one of my favorite buildings in New York City because it kind of looks like a dinosaur or an inverted skeleton. I don't know. It's just such a cool building, and that's the Oculus. So Art to Wear is like located in this really cool modern building.
I wish I had a photo of that. You're right. I should have added that to this to these photos. But guys, you just saw the second location. Actually, I'm gonna share it again because it has such a beautiful storefront. What brand was this before you guys took over, Leslie?
This was a, believe it or not, Skechers.
Wow.
So when I first saw the store earlier this year, like Skechers was still open. So it was so like um harsh, like because it was just like everything was like blue and orange, and it felt kind of like a sports bar. And so the challenge was, how can we like reimagine the space to kind of lighten it up and like make it more open and inviting and not so like sports, like, or just heavy.
Yeah, blue and orange just makes me think. I mean, I know it's not quite the colors, but it makes me think of the Lakers. Even though the Lakers is purple and yellow, but it's like the same idea. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it was a lot. And there was just like all these like pictures and like just action. I don't know. It was just like a little overwhelming. So it was a lot of fun to figure out like how to just like pull some of that back to we upcycled the space in a way for the Art to Wear.
seriously. Like, okay, guys, if you haven't seen this video yet, I posted it on Instagram like 3 days ago. This
It's
store
so cool.
is so sexy. I mean, Art to Wear has two locations, guys, but you gotta go to the second one. So you guys are about to watch the video. Leslie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go, guys. Yay! And if you're
Yay, I
at
love
the very end, I got like a little.
it. That was like right after we opened, like maybe that was soft opening. Because some of those things are gone.
That's crazy. They've already.
Yeah. It's like working on a farm. Like one day the animals are there and then the next day they're gone. It's kind of sad. That's how I feel about all the stores because like the pieces are just like one of a kind. So even when we sell things that you bring in, it's kind of sad, but you're like happy but that they're going to a good home, but then you miss seeing them and
Yeah.
enjoying them.
Oh my goodness. If you are tuning in and you can relate to what Leslie just said about like, oh, but I love it. I'm sad to see it go. Let us know in the comments because that's what it is when you're not mass producing. Every single item is special. And Leslie, before we jump into just the background of Art to Wear, you are a 4-time published author as well. Is it 5? So I missed
Yes.
time. It's 5, guys.
Yes. And my dry erase board just fell off the wall if you heard a weird noise. Yeah, so there's 5.
Oh my gosh. And your first book was So Fab.
So Fab. And that was 2015 that one came out. And that was my first book, baby.
And what have the rest of your books been about primarily?
So they're all about sewing fashion and style for youth. So
Mhm.
all five of them. I wrote So Fab because like I was teaching sewing classes and there were no girls of color in the books that I found at Barnes and Noble. And I think Borders was still open. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to find a book. And I thought there would be like books, at least one book. And like none of them had
Wow.
any diversity. So I wrote So Fab and I was so happy they let me put like a brown girl on the cover. And then all of the books have just been like more and more diverse. And now the fifth one is Black Girls Sew that I did in collaboration with a nonprofit here in New York called Black Girls Sew. So now I think I want to write something else. Like this is
Yeah.
like, what I set out to do is to, increase diversity and inclusion in sewing books.
Wow.
So
Wow. And you have certainly done that because now you have five.
yeah.
So that is awesome. And we have, yeah, every time we sell, every
Aw.
bag I've ever sold breaks my heart every time because they are one of one. Absolutely. Absolutely one of one. So let's jump into our questions. So
Okay.
because I know we have a lot to talk about and I want to make sure that we have the time. So, guys, per usual, oh, actually, I want to really quickly shout out all of the Instagram handles. So, Leslie is Creative Cookie and the brand is Art to Wear. And so, let's talk about just how Art to Wear began. And I don't even know the answer to this question, Leslie.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like all my life, and I'm sure some people can relate with this. Well, not all my life, but I had one job in high school at Wendy's, and I was like, I never want to do food again because it was just like I wasn't good at it. Like
Yeah.
it was just like I was the fry girl, and like I
Oh
was just
my
like
gosh.
getting burned all the time, and it was just like not cute. And so I saw like the cool store in my mall was like hiring, and this was like the late '90s. I was like in high school, and so I applied for a job in retail, and I like got it, and I was like actually pretty good at it, and so from then on, like in college, I would take retail jobs here and there. And even when I got to New York, I had like a full time job at a national nonprofit and I saw Anthropology was hiring. So I was
Mm,
like, I'm just going to apply. Like, I want the discount. I love retail. Like, it's just a lot of fun for me to like talk to people, see new trends, get a discount, like see how people are styling themselves. I thought I could meet new people. And so like I worked here in New York at Anthropology. I've worked before American Apparel went out of business. Like I worked there for a while. I worked the second time around. So I've just always
second
been
time around, I
interested
remember.
in
Yep.
yeah, yeah. So I've just always for some reason really been drawn to retail, especially retail of like very beautiful things or things that are like made in America. Second time around was like upscale consignment. And I always this is research. Like one day I'm gonna have my own store. Like I don't know how I'm gonna do it or how I'll afford
Mm.
it, but I would just take notes. And so long story short, about 4 years ago, I went to Kentucky with my dad, who is now 88. He was 84 then, and he was like, "We need to go to Kentucky while I can still like take this ride." So we drove from Michigan to Kentucky, and I got really inspired because I was just like looking at the farmland that my dad, his dad, and his dad, like basically generations of my family, had
Wow.
farmed on the same land. And I started thinking about what would I be wearing if I were working on these farms, which could have, happened had I been born earlier.
Yeah.
And so it made me think a lot about like upcycling and reuse and hand me downs. And so
Mm.
I came back to New York and I made my like first collection, and the only collection that I've completed, which was made from dead stock material, upcycled things. I think I had a few points from Move Fabric, so that was like the only new fabric that I included in it. And it was just like this modern day farm wear, like modern day farm girl clothing. And so that was kind of like what made me start to think about like taking a collection to the marketplace and to like an actual, shop to sell or somewhere to be sold. And so after that collection, like I was like making stuff, like here and there and like trying to sell it to different boutiques or like get it in boutiques. I was like selling a lot of face masks and scrunchies during the pandemic. So I was always kind of dabbling in it. And then last March, I got in my inbox an application for this thing called Storefront Startup.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, like, what is this? This looks cool. Let me fill it out. They're probably not going to call me. And the program was basically in response to COVID-19 and the fact that so many storefronts in New York City were empty because like people were going out of business because of the pandemic. And so I applied and they gave me the first store, which we operated for 3 months in the West Village. And like 2 weeks into it, I was like, this is so cool. I love it. Like, I want to keep going. And so I reached out to the founder of the organization and I was just like, hey, for somebody like me, it's not easy to rent another space. Like, what are you guys doing to like help the small businesses that are going into this program have more longevity and sustainability? And she was like, call me. And the rest is history.
That's amazing. So I'm curious because did the application for the storefront startups just arrive or did someone forward it to you?
So it arrived because 2 years prior, I did a residency with Chashama through another organization. So there's this really cool organization up in Harlem called Harlem Needle Arts.
Yeah.
Michelle Bishop is the founder, and she emailed me. This was like May 2019, maybe. And she was like, hey, do you want to do a 1 week residency? I have this space on 37th Street. And I was so freaked out. I was like, what am I going to do for a week in a space? Like, how
Yeah.
am I going to fill it up? And I just took my loom and I was just like weaving, working on the collection that I talked about, with my dad and like that whole trip that inspired me. So I just took my loom and I just sat in that window front and started weaving. And so from there, somehow I got on Chashama's mailing list. So I would get emails from them all the time about like art exhibits and like studio openings and different things. But this was like something new.
That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah, so that's how it happened. I was like, what is this? Like, my idea is probably not good enough, but I'm just gonna try.
And then here we are, and that's just evidence of things happen when we just try.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be that hard. Like just do it. That's amazing. And so for those of you tuning in, so Leslie started with a storefront in the West Village, and then moved to another storefront, and
In
then moved
Chelsea.
to Port Authority, which now has a location, which we will put that official address on the screen. It's also in the description of this live. And now she has a second location in the Oculus, which we showed you the video. So basically, you started still at an amazing level, but it has just grown from there.
Yeah, and it's just been the community, I think, making it grow. Like just my friends, like people are like, where do you find all these like cool designers? I'm like, it's people I know who I've just like known, for years, like you and Stephanie Land and Epperson. And it's just like people, just I guess that's why it's good to surround yourself with like awesome people because you never know when you're gonna open the store or something like.
Right. It's just like you surround yourself with a family, and then that family can go with you
Mm-hmm.
wherever you want to go, and you have people in your circle that you trust, because forming those relationships does take time. And you have like an amazing lineup of designers who show up. And that's because, and we're about to dive into this, but that's because of the years of work that you've done in the fashion
Yeah.
world. I say work, but just like being in it and meeting people. So second question, because this is where we start to have like our candid conversation, because we always glamorize, just it's human nature. We glamorize
Mm-hmm.
brick and mortar. It's like, oh my God. Tell us more about what you've learned. Like, what didn't you know going into it that you now know about running a brick
Oh
and
my gosh. So many things. Like I feel like it's changed me a lot and hopefully for the better, but then it's also made me like a little more tough. I'm like not as like I'm still very friendly with like people who I know and love, but I'm realizing if you like stop and talk to everybody, like I'll just never get anything done. And so I'm like I feel bad sometimes because like people never get to meet the shop owner really. And then when they find out it's me, like sometimes they just want to like talk, 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 talk. But when I'm there, like I'm like processing orders, I'm like putting things in the POS, I'm like redoing the store, I'm mopping sometimes. So it's just like I can't like talk and be as friendly as I want to. Although I do imagine or like to think that like art to wear is kind of like a party. So like every day that we're there, like I want to be having fun, but I can't be as social. But I would say one thing that I've learned is sometimes it's like hard to find really great people to work with. And I like learned this like kind of in the beginning. And I'm finding that the key thing to finding better people, one, just kind of using your network, and two, finding people who have an interest in fashion, an interest in sustainability, an interest in vintage, like just something around fashion. Because if they just say, oh, I like clothes or I like art, like it's just not enough for them to be, at least for our store, to be as like invested as I need them to be. Because I don't want people to work for me and just think, oh, this is just a job for a paycheck. Like I want them to see it as a stepping stone to like what's next and as like an opportunity to learn and grow. And I found out when I hired people who just seemed really sweet and awesome in other ways, but they didn't like fashion, that like they didn't last. And so now I really have to just kind of double down on like what's your, kind of plan long term, and then like how does art to wear fit into that now. Because if you're just here for a job, like you're not gonna, we just can't afford to be that flexible with like our hiring right now. So I think that's like one thing I learned the hard way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Find, I mean, right now, even more so, it's difficult to find people to work. Um,
People don't want to work anymore. I think, I mean, and I get it. Especially retail can be crappy in some places. And so I'm also trying to change all the things that I didn't like about it
yeah,
when I was there and like make art to wear like not those things.
right, right, right. Yeah. It's, running a brick and mortar store and having employees is really an act of leadership.
Hmm. And you have to motivate them. You have to like every day I'm sending emails about like this is what needs to happen and like this is our goal, and like there's just yeah, it just doesn't stop. Like I'm thinking about the store all the time.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. It's a child.
Yeah,
Um,
I was at Pilates tonight and like
oh yeah.
somebody was we didn't have enough ones, and so I got a call like what should we do? I'm like just give her $15 back instead of 14, like it's okay. But
Right, right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a child.
Oh my gosh. And so let's jump into our next question, because there's so many layers to being an entrepreneur, and especially an entrepreneur in the big bad city of New York, and
Hmm.
especially being a female entrepreneur and a person of color. And you and I have talked about this before candidly, where, you're probably the first. Do you know now? Like
I
the
don't know, but I think
female
I'm
black
like the
owner
first.
in Port Authority?
Probably. I need to check that history. People come in and cry, like ladies who've been coming through there since the 60s. They're like, there's never been a black owned business here. So I think it's true, but I'm not sure. I gotta find out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Because records are always, kind of erased, but at the same time, it's it's an assumption that's true. Let's just say that it's a true assumption. And so, you have built something, like you said, that is it's a place of inspiration, but you most likely have had to work harder to get to where you are, or at least had to navigate different things. So give us some examples, and also just how you've grown in this role, especially as a role model.
Wow. Well, I mean, some of my favorite things, which people get really mad about them, but I think they're funny. Um, but it is interesting to think about. Like these are things that people probably don't have to deal with. Okay, so couple
Yeah.
of examples. Um, like the other day I was there and I had on like a big ball gown. Like I was just like, I'm gonna wear this like dress. Like I
Right.
had this beautiful dress. I don't know. It was the day of our customer appreciation event. And so I was in the store sweeping and this lady came in and she was like, are you the cleaning lady? I have gone to pick things up from the cleaners and I'll be like, are you Leslie Ware's assistant? Every time I go to the hardware store, they're like, you better ask your boss because this color purple might not be the right paint and I don't want you to get in trouble. So it's like, are people always my favorite? Guys come in and they're like, can I speak to the manager? Are you guys hiring? So it's just like people don't expect the business owner to be me in this big bad city of New York City because there aren't enough black women and especially dark black women who own their own businesses. Like they're just like not like, and so it's people don't assume it to be me, no matter like how fancy I dress or how I do my hair or like what I'm wearing. I'm always the cleaning lady, the assistant, and associate. But and then when people find out I'm the owner, it's just like, they are so shocked.
Do they
And
apologize?
no, I mean, sometimes, like in some cases, like the lady who thought I was the cleaning lady, I didn't even correct her because it's
Mm.
just interesting to me. So I was like, okay, like I didn't feel the need to put energy into it because if I give it energy every time it happens, I feel like it's going to annoy me more. And right now, it's just kind of funny that people
Yeah.
don't expect it to be me.
Yeah. Yeah. You've kind of made it like a game.
Yeah, like how long is this
How many
gonna go
people?
on?
How many
If
people
I
I
had
bet you met?
$5 every time that
Right.
happened, I would be
You've had.
going for lobster once a week.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh god. It's like there's layers and layers and layers and layers, but like truly, even in New York City, of what? How many people do we have? 9 million.
Yep.
You.
In
This is
2022.
a minority. Like truly. Like not even just like as we know the word minority, it is a rare occurrence, and people's prejudices and just lens comes out.
Yeah.
So in regards to, you know getting support, and I say, but like getting support, and just feeling like you have people in your corner, how have you, what has that experience been like for you?
Um, that's a good question. I think it's been pretty good. Like, cause
Hmm.
again, like I'm mostly working with like friends or like within the network or people who just come to me and it feels natural, it feels right. And so it's kind of like we're just like on this like yellow brick road together. But then there are times where like you wish that there was more support or people would be like, I'm realizing why people like to work with me so much, like on my like other jobs. I'm like, oh, that's why I have like a freaking, my dad has like all these binders of awards and just like honors that I've like received over the years because I'm just like, I want to go above and beyond. And if it's like a small business, a woman owned business, just like even if it's not, like when I was at anthropology, I'm just like always giving it 115% because that's just who I am and like how I kind of had to be like as like a black woman, I guess. And just I guess how I would be no matter what. And like not everybody is the same way. And so I think like having to be become a manager when I've never managed a store before. I've never had a staff, but I just kind of assumed like, oh my gosh, like everybody is like me, like, and they're gonna just give it their all, or they're gonna feel a certain way because this is a small business and I'm not Urban Outfitters. Like I don't have like, I'm basically paying for everything with my like pandemic savings and like the little bit of profit that we have coming in. But like people, yeah, I don't know. Like some people just don't care about that. Like it's interesting. I would say for the most part though, it's the support has been overwhelming and like there's so many people like you and, Parent Allen. And like I could just go down a list of people who have just been like angels on this journey. And, even my moving guy, Tyrone, like if I didn't have Tyrone, like I wouldn't have been able to get from store to store because he's just so smooth and like always on time. Lupe, who's like our handyman, who's just like at every step, like helping me move stuff around and patch up holes. So it's just been like so many amazing stars. But then there are those moments where I'm just like, damn, like what's happening right now? So,
Yeah.
it's
It's really valuable to hear what you're sharing because again, it goes back to what we were talking about, which is you you're on this journey and you connect with the people that feel like family or that support you even when they're not getting something back, right? Because I think that's
mm-hmm.
a key thing that I have picked up on my journey is like if someone gives me something and they don't expect anything back, like they're mine, like they're mine,
Yeah.
and it becomes just a reciprocal relationship, and no one's keeping tit for tat. When people start to keep tit for tat, it just becomes a more difficult dynamic when it comes to a business such as yours, which is like there's just no equality in the investment. It's like it's just an all hands on deck situation to really optimize, you know.
And I've been so lucky too because Chishama, who is the nonprofit organization who like supports Art to Wear, is just so amazing. So they you know, cover like a lot of the expenses and help with marketing. And so like things that I would be worried about normally if I were just like in a shop by myself, like I don't have to worry about them. And so it kind of frees me up to spend more time like figuring out
Yeah.
how to make it work. I get to spend more time with the designers. I get to spend more time in my little home office sewing. So that's like really great too, because it's not like we have to just like make so much money to
Right.
like cover all the rent because it's reduced.
Right. Right. Which is well deserved. And
Thank you.
yeah, yes, yes. And I mean we I hope other cities have entities like Shashama. Who knows? I don't know of any
I
other.
know Pittsburgh has like a really strong, I mean, it's mostly for galleries though, but there was Pittsburgh Cultural Trust. But I don't know, like that's the only
That's cool.
city that I can
Yeah,
think of that has something like this.
yeah, yeah. Well, brick and mortar's coming back, and I think it's because there is this virtual to physical connection that people are actually craving.
Mhm.
Maybe you can talk about that as it relates to just why sustainable fashion is trending in retail. And then you are doing some really innovative things, Leslie. So what do you see as the future of upcycled secondhand and the future of just vintage and things that are, reused in the fashion marketplace?
Yeah. Well, I think it's trending right now so much because there's already so much out there. Like we really don't need to make any more clothes.
Right.
Like all the factories could shut down right now, and I think there's
Yeah,
enough that we could
it is.
use to figure it out.
For like the next
And
something. That's the sad I've seen.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like it's so ridiculous. And I think sustainable fashion, especially upcycling, is the answer to all of these like problems with pollution and just the impact that the negative impact that like
Yeah.
fashion has on the environment. And so um I think oh my god, I had this experience a few weeks ago. My neighbor was like throwing away like all of her clothing because she was moving, and she asked me if I wanted it because she knew I upcycled. And so I was like, sure. And I was like so happy. So I like made my husband like go downstairs with me to get it, and we brung it
Yeah.
up. And it was all bad, like Fashion Nova
Oh,
and like stuff that I really couldn't use. But then I was like, how can we get creative? Because I feel like there there is a way to use some of that stuff if it's there too. So I have like bags of it on the floor now that I'm gonna kind of like patch together, use it for applique. So anyway, to answer your
yeah.
question, I think art to wear is like onto something with the many different ways that we do upcycling. Some designers like Annika of Ooh Baby kind of maintains the integrity of the garment and she does like hand painting. You have people like J Rat. Her name's Janelle Abbott. I'm actually wearing one of her collars right now. She completely takes everything apart and reworks it. Perrin Allen, who's like using dead stock materials. So I think what we're doing and how we're upcycling by taking secondhand and giving it a second life is kind of like the future of sustainable fashion. So giving it like an additional push. So all these like bags of things that I have on my floor right now from my neighbor, like how can I mash that up into something good? Because right now it's like I wish I could have kept it all, but I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get through these 5 trash bags. But I did keep one
Ooh.
and I
Yeah.
donated the rest. And so I'm gonna see what I can do with that because now I'm finding when I go thrifting, and I know you're seeing the same thing, that it's like a lot of fast fashion stuff and it's not as good as it used to be
Yeah.
out there. And so that's gonna keep happening too. And so it's just like, how do we deal with that change?
Yeah. Yeah. And
But this is the answer to like all the problems with fashion. I think it's like upcycling and thrifting and reusing and figuring out ways to mend your clothes and give them a second life and just buying better pieces and yeah,
there's
it's
also
it's
just
such a big problem.
it's also, I mean, this is why I feel art to wear is so successful is people come in and they're like, oh my gosh, I've never seen pieces so awesome like this that are at these price points. Even designer, it's a black dress for $800. Not always,
Mhm.
but sometimes designer can be just boring, half of a beat. And I'm like, what is this? However, with the art to wear collections from all of your designers, every single piece is just one of a find, one of a kind. And if people care about fashion, they care about buying something that's different. And you can achieve that with an upcycled piece.
Yes. And what I'm working on now, because when I open art to wear, like I really envision my readers. And I'm
Mm,
like, oh, like they're like 18 and 19, some of them now who
yeah,
started with me when they were really little. But I'm finding like that demographic, even though our price point is pretty low, like they can't always afford um certain things, or especially like I took my middle school students to the store last week, or actually parents took them because I was like at the Met and they're like, we want to buy something, but this is still like a little expensive for us. So now I'm trying to explore ways that we can do sustainable fashion more affordably, or maybe it means giving them a thrifted item with like a little bag of embellishments that they can go home, watch YouTube, and hand sew and like create their own like one of a kind piece. And then that doesn't cost us a lot. And, it's kind of like planting the seed of creativity, it's teaching them a life skill. So, like, right now, I'm really thinking about like, how do we reach that middle school,
Yeah.
high school
Yeah.
demographic who might not have like a parent who's gonna like come in and drop all that money, who's, because some parents are like, oh, like just go to Forever 21, go to H&M.
Right.
But I really want to work with young people like who can't afford what we have. And so that's where my like priority is, I think, for fall and going into 2023 is like, what can we do? Or is there an easier way to upcycle that isn't so labor intensive, that is like more affordable? So, but I don't have a factory. I don't have like a team of sewists and upcyclers to help me. So it's just like like a challenge. Like I think if I yeah. So anyway,
You know what I've always wanted to buy? This is like
what
something
a sewing you didn't you give me a sewing machine? So it's not a sewing machine. What do you want to buy?
Yes. So I gave you a sewing machine, and one of your students took it, and I was so happy because that thing had been collecting dust in my closet for like 7 years at that point. But I've always wanted to buy a bedazzler gun.
Oh, do they
And
still make them?
that's the thing. I'm wondering if you could buy a bunch of, and I could talk you through it. I would even say like L Train here in New York City might have like $10 jackets, like just $10 denim jackets, and you can make a corner. And for like $40, they can bedazzle their jacket.
Look at this, would be so fun to bedazzle. I don't know if you can see it,
Is that
but
a no?
it's like I'm trying to figure out, it's a newly piece. So I'm
Yeah,
like, what can I upcycle it? It's like in beautiful condition, but if it had like little
rhinestone.
rhinestone,
Yeah, yeah. Let me let me do some research because I think I want a bedazzler.
yeah, that would be so much fun. You were bedazzled when I met you.
Most likely. Yeah. I've always had a little bedazzle on me. I mean, here's my necklace, bedazzle.
So cute.
So we, just talked about you mopping floors and, doing all the things, which is what an entrepreneur does. But the big but is that at some point you have to start to treat yourself like a CEO, and you have to become a CEO in order to scale. So what have you learned about that for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I've been taking a lot of Ubers lately. I'm like, it's not all about saving money. Like some days you just need an Uber. Like I'm not lugging fabric from the garment district all the way down to the Oculus. So I'm
Right.
paying $15 for that Uber. I also like treat myself to a really nice dinner if I'm at Art to Wear longer than 9 p.m. Like that means you're going to sit down and go wherever you want. And so I've been doing that. I also have a monthly kind of like solo planning retreat that I just started like 2 months ago. And I just like pick somewhere kind of posh to go and work for the day. And I like eat, like I'll maybe go get like a massage or like a manicure. So I've been like trying to build in like little bonuses for myself. Cause like you work hard and I'm like, I need my feet to like be my friend. And so if that means like I'm paying for a pedicure on the company because it's like a treat for my feet, which I'm like on them all the time. So those are kind of ways that I've been treating myself more like a CEO and not just like an employee. It's just like Ubers, really good food, like all the time, especially if I'm there after 9, and then like my new monthly retreat.
I love that. I love that because it's true, right? You can't stop doing everything and just be like, everyone does all the things I don't want to do, but you can position yourself energetically to receive the gifts of what it is that you're building.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I've also started, like, I wasn't taking a consignment for the items that I make. I was just like putting them in the store, and then I'm like, oh, if they sell, it just goes into the general pot. Like, I just want to help art to wear. And I was like, no, like, everybody else is getting an additional check. Like, you should be too, like, for your books, for um everything that you design. And so like now I've been like
Okay.
yeah, so I'm like,
Yeah.
that's how I pay for my therapy. I'm paying for my membership for Pilates. So because it like adds up, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I should have been doing this from the beginning. Everybody was getting, I'm getting obviously one check, but now I get like a consignment payout too.
Yeah.
So kind of
Yeah.
like a bonus.
That's that. I love that. That's like, that goes back to that phrase that is pay yourself first.
Hmm.
And it's tough because we think that that money is like, well, we need the money. Like, art to wear needs the money, but me being who I am, and not everyone sees it this way, but I think energetically, when you start to pay yourself, the money that was removed gets put back into the pot anyway.
Yep.
You just have more sales in the store.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. And you're happier, you feel
Yeah,
taken care of. And so
yeah.
it's just like, I'm so happy that I'm doing that now because I wasn't doing it before. And people really come in and they're like, what do you make? And then they buy it. And then like it just
Mhm.
goes into the pot. But now like I'm getting a little cut from it. And then some of it does go to the store, but I get my 60%,
I love
as I should, right?
that. As you,
So that's what I'm doing.
yes, yes. This is huge. I mean, again, this is back to being a reseller. Like, resellers just use the money to buy more stuff. They don't pay themselves first. They don't,
Wow.
make $3,000 and then, take 40% of that and put it into their personal checking accounts. I see this all the time. They just use the money to go buy more stuff and then, yes, like pay their expenses, which is paying yourself, but it's nice when it's like it's a tangible thing, right? It's like, no, I'm removing it, like you, Leslie. I'm removing it from the business and putting it in my personal. Period.
Mhm. Period.
I love it. I love it. So our last question, and you might not even really have a reply to this. I mean, we may have covered it, but you've been on this journey now for a year this fall. No, a year, two
It's
months.
like a year. It's like a year. So we opened in
You opened,
May 2021. So it's
yeah.
been like a year and 3 months or 4 months. What
God.
is time?
Oh my God. So it's been more than a year. So you definitely can like look back in time and think, oh, I wish I had done. And if there is anything, is there anything that you
Oh,
would do differently looking
so many things, but
back?
one of them, I wish I wouldn't have dropped out of Spanish in college. Because like so many of our customers are Spanish speaking, and I feel horrible when I can't communicate with them. I would say about a third of them are. And I took 3 years of Spanish in high school, and then when I got to college, after 2 semesters, it just got hard. And I called my parents and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like failing Spanish. Like I think I got a D in like the written Spanish class, and they were like, "Oh, just drop it then and do something else." Because I'm like first generation college student. Like I think my parents was just like happy that I was in college, and so like nobody encouraged me just to keep. And I'm not like blaming them. Like I still turned out okay, but having art to wear, like I really wish I could communicate with everyone. And so I wish I would have stuck with Spanish because now it's just like I can say bonita, un poquito, like diez. Like I can maybe say numbers and like little things here and there, but like I can't form a sentence, and it's just it breaks my heart because I was like picking it up really fast when I was younger. And now like I could like go back and see if it would come to me, but you know, life is
Time.
so busy and time. And so I wish I would have just did it when my brain was like a sponge when I was like 18 because
Yeah.
I would be fluent.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's really insightful. I agree with you. I don't. I mean, yo hablo español, pero no es bueno. You know, chica blanca over here. Like I, and here in New York, it's probably what 50%. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe 30 to 40%. Like you said,
It's
30.
a lot. Yeah. And like, you know, this was like the 2000s, like in early 2000s in Michigan. I never knew, oh, you're going to live in New York one day and operate your own shop.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I don't need Spanish. Now I'm like, ah. So
Yeah.
that's like, if I could go back in time and change something, I would have just stuck it out, even if I would have gotten a D. Like, I
Wow.
think I would have like eventually gotten over the hump and
Wow. Wow.
learned as much as I could. So, huh.
Anything else? And anything from the actual start of art to wear?
From the actual start, uh, hmm, oh my gosh. So right now I'm like, I think sales tax was like one
Oh,
of the things that like I struggled to figure out, and so I ended up paying like a bunch of penalties and like fines because I was like turning it in later. Like I wasn't kind of like setting it aside in the beginning because I was just like not really thinking about it. And so that was like something that I had to kind of figure out the hard way was like how to do the quarterly sales tax. But now I think we're on track and I'm out the woods. Kind of. So I would say that that's like another thing too that I wish I would have like, but for the most part, like we kind of like didn't miss too many beats. But I think just like the staffing thing that I mentioned earlier too was like, you know, caused a few problems when I hired people
right.
who weren't like fashion people. And so now I don't do that anymore. And so that was like a big revelation. Um so yeah, just a lot of like little things, but for the most part, like it's been going
Yeah.
pretty well.
Wow. Wow. And this is it's hard sometimes, even a year and 3 months into it, to even realize like, oh, that thing could have been different because you're still like growing. Like I know myself. I'm like, oh, that thing 5 years ago. Now I know.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? One thing is, and you always get on me about it. Our social media, it ebbs and flows. It goes up, it goes down. Like I feel like that's something that we could be more consistent with and do better because there's just so much cool stuff to post about. But for me, and I know it's my job, but then like I'm doing like all these like other things too, and it's like hard
Yeah.
to for me to find like the right person to do our social media and because I'm really picky and it needs to be like more high fashion. And so I think that's like one thing that I wish like we would have established
Yeah.
a kind of like look and feel and kind of like a pattern like in the very beginning for like how it was gonna go. And now it's just kind of like whenever I get a minute, I'm gonna post something when we're done tonight. But like social media is like one. And like just getting our e-commerce site going has like really been a struggle. And I think, the benefit of having these brick and mortar locations is that we can build a base like if we don't have the stores one day because we have so many tourists, so many people. And so I feel like I'm also like missing out by like not having that up. But then I'm also of the school of thought that like things will happen when they're meant to happen. And as long as you're just like planting seeds and like putting it out there, like it's gonna be okay. But I do wish I could have like capitalized on having e-commerce up and running sooner and like a stronger social media.
Yeah. 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 I totally get it. Totally get it.
And Spanish.
And Spanish. And Spanish. So those of you who are tuning into the replay, look, I'm no expert, but I know enough that there's always going to be things that you're like, I wish I had done that better. And the truth is, like, I'd let go of the need to be perfect today. Let's just celebrate. Oh my goodness, all the amazing things, because there's always going to be, some, cracks, right? But 2 stores operating right now with employees. How many independent designers
There's
do you have?
30 between the 2 stores, and we have a waiting list of about 45 people who want to join us. And I don't know if we have the capacity, because we do like an open call every month. And so the last open call was this past Saturday. And some of them are great, but like not a good fit. But I would say, like, out of that list of 40, like, I would love to take at least 15 of them. And so I'm like now trying to figure out, like, how to do that. Like, maybe we have like a special rack for new
Yeah,
people who we're like trying to see like how our customers respond. Maybe
right.
we want to do pop-ups with them to see like what their following is like, and like if our customers like so yeah, 30 between the 2 stores, 30 designers, curators, or small businesses that we work with. And then we have a waiting list now, because just every day people are coming in and they're inspired and they're like, how do I work with you guys? And I'm like, ah.
I mean
So we had to create a form, like a Google
yeah,
form for them to fill out. And so now it's like all in the spreadsheet.
it's such a testament. I mean, there need to be more of these community fashion hubs, and there just aren't. It's just,
Yeah, and
but
it's exciting too, because some of our designers are now getting their own stores. So I'm like, that makes me so happy that yeah, we're turning into like this little incubator.
yes, that's exactly it. An incubator. Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So, okay. So 30 designers, two stores currently, social media, we will put back on the screen right now. But how can
Yeah.
our boss babes support art to wear?
Well, follow us on social
Yes.
media at Creative Cookie, at Art to Wear. Comment, um, engage with us, ask me anything. I would say if you're not in New York City, visit. When you do come to New York City, we're at Port Authority at 42nd and 8th Avenue, and then in the Oculus. And all the information is on our Instagram. What else? I would say, if we ever get our brick and mortar up, or not brick and mortar, our e-commerce site, uh, find us there, check it out. If nothing else, like, my books are there, so you can like buy a book, which is also supporting the cause. So there's like so many ways, but I would say social media, visiting us online or in person, and then buying a book if you get a chance.
I am going to just really quickly copy and paste, and because I did not put the address. So this is not the address, but again, there are 2 locations. And when you go on the Art to Wear website, you will see both locations, but it's also in the description. And you can DM Art to Wear and always ask them, so that you know exactly where these pop-up stores are. And, Leslie, I just think this is, I hope that those of us who were able to watch tonight, were able to understand that what they're doing matters, because in the world of fashion, right, it's not just limited to the luxury brands and the fast fashion brands, which is kind of like, when you're an outsider looking in, that feels like that's all it is. There is this
Yeah.
thing, like kind of going back in time almost to the 60s or the 70s, when there were these independent stores and, people got to know each other because of the industry. So just thank you for what, you've offered to, hopefully, I think, a brand new chapter in fashion. particularly here in New York City.
Yeah, thank you for like making this history with me and like being a part of it.
I love it. I have got all this stuff back here. Pretty much every week
Oh,
I go through my wardrobe and I'm like, what do I want to sell or to wear? Like what am I like willing to let go of? And then I buy stuff every week for the store, which I had to add more today because you guys sold a ton of stuff over the weekend. I was like,
we
where?
did. And yeah, I'm so happy.
It was great. I was like, wait, what sold? And then I like finally figured it out because I don't keep track. Like I just throw it on. Just like, I need to start taking notes so that I can actually.
If you want to, we can, and we'll talk about that. Yeah.
We'll absolutely talk about that. But I just knocked my desk. This has been amazing. Those of you who are also watching the replay, you're probably not watching to the very end, but I will say that I'm going to cut this up and put it on Instagram so that we can have like some really key moments. And then Art to Wear can also share it so that the Art to Wear followers can get to know Leslie and really understand this journey and understand this impact again that Art to Wear is having on the fashion community. So thank you, Leslie, for being on today.
Thank you, Sammy. This was amazing. And Victor said like he couldn't get on for some reason, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if like something maybe with the connection of StreamYard.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, they can watch the replay if they can't get on. He was like, tell Sammy that a lot of people are not able to see the stream on Facebook.
Ah, shit. Yeah. I wonder what happened.
Technology.
Because I did notice, like, I was like, oh, we don't have any viewers. So, like, what happened? But I see it streaming on my page. I wonder if it stopped streaming.
Yeah, it said like it's expired. Where's the replay? Like he's sending me screenshots of people saying stuff. So, but they can rewatch it.
Hopefully. Going live soon. I see that. I wonder if it's because I don't know. Well, we are about to jump off. So if you guys are to this point, we're so sorry if you're trying to watch the live, but we are going to figure it out. Okay. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.